Hello, my name is David. I'd like to take you through some steps in searching for assets using the Eiris viewer. As you can see here, we're looking at the badges screen of the Eiris client, the Eiris viewer client. Over here we've got an image box which can be used either to show a photo of the particular asset or a video showing the current live video of the camera associated with the location of the asset. Over here we've got a geographic map where we can zoom in, zoom out, and pan, etc. Down in the bottom we've got a list of assets that currently answer to our criteria, our search criteria. At the moment we're showing all of the assets. If I flip through them, as you can see, it's changing the asset photo and of course the map associated with the location and showing the location using an icon. So here we've got VS42 is located here in OR1. Here we see it in the list. Up on top we see it in the map. Some of the things we see in the list, okay, we've got the name, the location, we have the status, so we can manage as any status type that we wish in the software. So if we, for example, we double click on the asset, we see this the detailed information, and we can change the status to any of those predefined status types which I have defined in the software. Also note here that we have assigned this asset to specific groups, so we can assign it to one or a number of groups. That will help us later on both search as well as define alarm and alerting criteria for this tag. Over here we've got extended properties, so we can assign different user or custom fields for an asset. For example, the next preventative maintenance date, or the asset ID, which might be a corporate ID for that object. And I can define as many types of fields and values I wish. On the left side here I've got my trees that I can use to filter on for particular queries. For example, if I now unselect the all tag, so I uncheck the all assets, all badges, and I can now select just the vital sign monitors. So the result here shows only the vital sign monitors and their associated data such as location. Or I can search just on my ECGs, and here it will show me just the ECGs. Of course, go back to all and it'll show all my assets. I'm demonstrating here on a relatively small database, but the purpose is to explain the functionality of the system. I can also filter on status types. For example, I only want to search on my soiled assets, so here's a soiled assets. Or only assets that require repair. I'm looking for an asset that requires repair. There's right there. So I can search on specific status types. Of course, I can combine, mix and match any of these criteria. When I'm searching, for example, I want a certain type of asset that requires servicing, then I can do those two criteria together. Another option is to search on what we call maps or areas. So I can search on, for example, the entire block D, and that will show me all the assets in that area. Okay, or I can search on just for example the assets that are currently in the emergency room, or just the assets that are in the surgery. Okay, so that way I am able to filter based on geography. Okay, up here gives me the option to also filter on user-defined attributes. So let's say I wanted to search on the next preventative maintenance date. So I want to say, okay, show me all the assets that require servicing today. So I'll say 2009 11/28, and now it's only going to show that. But if I want all the assets that require this month, well, that's still the same. But if let's say I want to go all the assets in 2009, so here I have all of the 2009 all the assets that require preventive maintenance this year, or if I want to go to 2010, I have all the assets that require maintenance in 2010. So that's a powerful way of searching on user-defined attributes, whichever type of attribute you wish to assign. I can, of course, search on names. So here I'm searching on anything that begins with VS. But if it's the exact phrase, of course, then I'll get nothing, because everything, just the name, begins with VS. In addition to that, we have very powerful alert logic. So if I go to my alert screen, okay, and I tamper one of my tags, so as you can see, I now have an alert that's come up that VS42 has been tampered at, OR1. There's the message up there. I can start zooming in and until I see where the actual asset is located, saying, okay, there it is in OR1, and I have this alarm. I can then handle it. I can process it. Once I click on it, I get all the details of the assets. I might have various policies or actions that need to be taken. I can enter in comments before I close the event. Of course, once these alerts are triggered, then they can set outputs, etc. We can trigger alerts for just about any event that may be defined in the system, such as a relocation. So if an asset is taken out of its designated department, I can alarm on that. If an asset is moved to a certain area or taken to an exit, it can alarm on that. If the asset is tampered, I can alarm on that. If the battery is low, I can use the various buttons on the asset to trigger require maintenance. That can both trigger an alert, change the status, etc. So there's quite a lot I can do using the alert logic in Eiris. So I'll go ahead and close that event. This was only a short review of some of the functions within Eiris that can be used in an asset tracking system. There are, of course, a large number of other functions, such as escort, where only designated personnel may escort assets out of a designated area. Eiris also provides quota management, so that I can specify the number of a specific asset type that should, or the minimum and maximum number of asset types that should exist within a certain area of the building, of the site. And if this number if the actual number deviates from that, then I get a notice. So that we manage what we call quotas. The Eiris reporting functionality is very powerful. You can, of course, do a real-time inventory report showing exactly how many of each asset type you have at each location. You can track the amount of time assets spent at certain locations, and of course any of the alerts that might have been triggered by the asset. That's all recorded in our history database, which can be reported on at any time. And if all of this is not enough, of course, Eiris has been integrated with a large number of third-party management systems. So you can both use Eiris together with some powerful asset workflow or healthcare workflow applications by integrating or by applying a third-party management system together with Eiris.